Hi everyone, it's Joel from JST Woodcraft here, and recently was asked to do a little instruction on how to apply water slides to wooden materials. So I'm going to kind of walk you through the process that I've picked up along the way and see if this is hopefully helpful to everyone. What you're seeing here is a sheet. This is a Tester's water slide decal sheet. I've got my fish species here, and obviously you can see the one that's missing. So this is printed on my inkjet printer. They do make these for lasers. I find the inkjet printers just tend to give better resolution and better quality. So use what you need, but just make sure you have the right paper for the right printer, or bad things are going to happen. I've printed these, and then once they give them about a half an hour dry or so, and then I have this Tester's spray, decal spray that I put on there. One coat usually is enough. You're supposed to put it on, allow 2 hours for it to dry. Then what I've done is I've taken a sharp X-Acto knife, cut it out on my cutting board here, and then I've went ahead and put the decal in the water. I have a little bath tub that I use for these guys in there. And then after about a minute, slide the decal off and put it on a paper towel here so that it can completely dry. It's important that it's dried and ready to go. And you kind of see that when it starts to curl a little bit like this and whatnot. Make sure you put it with the glue side up, otherwise you're going to have a really fancy looking paper towel. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move over to the lathe in a minute, where I've got a blank that I've churned down to the dimensions that I want. I've sanded it through my grits all the way up to 4,000. I think when you're applying these, it works best when you've got a really smooth surface for the label to adhere to. And then I've taken some denatured alcohol and made sure that the wood is really clean, so there's nothing weird on there that's going to wake up into the label or prevent my label from properly adhering. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this distilled turpentine and this little foam brush, and I'm going to put a little of that on the wood. And then I'm going to apply the decal to the wood, glue side down. And what'll happen is this turpentine will actually cause the label to kind of melt into the wood, makes the edges go away, and just makes a nice, beautiful appearance. Now, one of the things you want to make sure you do is when you cut this out, you want to try to do your best to cut the label as close to as possible. I don't have the best skills with my X-Acto knife, so I'm off a little bit. Usually a little bit's not much, a lot is. You want to try to keep from having straight lines or things that will visually catch people's eyes if you're still learning how to get the best cut. I will tell you, these cutting mats are amazing. They're self-healing, and they really help with the cutting process and keeping things where they are, giving the knife something to kind of guide around as opposed to biting into wood, which, I've done a lot of cutting on this bench, and all the wood seems to do is grab a hold of the knife and just make things rough. So we're going to move over to the lathe, and we'll be right back. Okay, so over at the lathe now, you can see we've got this nice piece of yellow wood on here, and this is where we're going to apply our decal. Try to ignore the mess in the back. I've been turning a lot of Alumilite lately and haven't cleaned the shop so much, so my apologies there. But what we're going to do, I've got my turpentine on the brush, and we're just going to get a nice liberal coating on the blank here of the turpentine that we need. We're going to grab our little fish guy here. You got to handle these things very carefully. They are incredibly fragile. I'm going to get it on here, and hopefully I can move him around after giving him a little bath in turpentine. Move him using the brush very carefully, because if this thing sticks at all to the wood when the turpentine dries and I try to move it too much, I'm just going to tear it in half. Alright, and I think that's good. I think I like how that looks. I'll give you guys a little bit of a close-up here. Focus there. And there you have it. Easy breezy. We got some fish swimming upstream here. So now what I'm going to do is I will let this turpentine basically evaporate and dry up. It'll take, yeah, I don't know, 20-30 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. It just depends on the humidity and temperature and, you know, all that stuff that you guys out there already know. Once that's done, I am going to just use a very typical CA finish. So I'll apply, you know, probably 4 or 5 coats of thin, and I like to use the mercury. I find it has really good results. And then I'll do a light sanding at like 500. I'll do another coat of thin, another light sanding at 500, and then I'll do a coat of medium and let that dry. Another sanding at 500, and then start with my micro mesh wet sanding at 1500 and go all the way up to 12,000. And then you finish it off with some plastic polish. I tend to like the one step. I know a lot of my peers out there, they like this too. I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen the other. I've tried both. I don't know one gives you a better result than the other. I have found that the one step I apply with my finger directly to the spinning piece, and the hut, because it's much thinner, the viscosity is much lower on that. I apply it directly to a paper towel and then apply that to my piece, and we usually get a really good finish. So these are the steps. This is Waterslide decal application on wood using the turpentine melting method. I'll do another brief video later, separate video, demonstrating the CA application, and then obviously the finished product here. So thank you so much. This is Joel from JST Woodcraft. Thanks for watching.